Hi, my name is Bethany Moore, and no, not like the cities in Oklahoma. I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan. In the fall of 2013, I was working myself to the core. I worked about 80 hours a week. I was unfocused, and God really took a back seat to everything that I was doing in my life. In January, my spiritual growth just stopped completely. I was working, and God didn't matter. But I knew deep down inside, I knew there was growth. I knew there was more that needed to happen. In April, I decided to take my mom to Fort Worth for spring break. And when God tells you to take yourself out of where you are, your perspective changes. And that's what happened when I came to Texas. I met my cousins, I met my tia, and they were vulnerable relationships. We were real with each other. They asked me what was on my heart, and I was able to share it with them. I was never able to do that before, and it started that shift and that change in me to start growing again. I came back home with a fire. I came back with a glow. Some people in my life didn't like it. A lot of people knew that there was a change and knew that there was a difference in me. When I was in Texas, the desire to stay was in me. My tia even said when she picked me up at the airport, "You're gonna love it." When I came back to Michigan, that desire to be in Texas didn't go away. I knew I was supposed to be there, but I didn't know the purpose yet. So I kept quiet, I kept praying about it, I kept talking to my parents and my brother about it. And for the time being, I was in Michigan. I was stayed in my church. I stayed planted and I served, but I still fed off of everything that I heard in Texas. The connections with my cousins kept going, the connections with their church, through podcasts, through social media, there was still that connection and that pull from Texas. So in August, I decided to come back again, and this time I brought my brother. When I came back in Michigan, I shared it with my parents. I shared the calling that I felt from God to Texas. They agreed with me, and we kept quiet. We prayed about it, and we knew that God's timing was gonna set it up for that move to happen. From August to November, my whole family was praying about a lot of things. In November, it was confirmed that our family was supposed to move and make a transition, and that guilt and that fear and that oppression and that stunting of our growth that we were feeling was about to stop, and God was gonna launch us into something new. I had planned everything. The call was real, and I knew where I wanted to work. I knew where I wanted to stay. The plan, everything was falling into place, and it was getting confirmed over and over and over again. Confirmed by strangers, confirmed by my pastors, confirmed by family members, anybody that I met. Fort Worth would come up in the news. I would get an email about something. It was getting confirmed to the point where I almost said, "God, I get it. I'm gonna obey. I'm gonna go." From January to March, God transitioned our family into a healthy environment, free of fear, free of guilt, free of condemnation. And that love and acceptance I felt in Texas, I finally was able to find in Michigan. So at that point, I said, "God, I got it. I'll stay in Michigan. Everything's good. I have healthy friends. I have a healthy church. I'll stay." So from March till June, when God was supposed to be launching me out to Texas, I got in my own way and said, "God, I can handle it. I'll stay." I was still pressed forward. I was stubborn and going my own way, and it wasn't working. Still, I said, "God, I got it. I can handle it." But the problem was I was trying to take control of my own destiny when God was still calling me to Texas. Finally, at one of our young adult services, our worship leader spoke out over the crowd and said that fear was being broken in that place. He's a good friend of mine. He was aware of my situation, what I was kind of going through and struggling with. And I really felt like he was talking to me. So in that moment when he said the fear was being broken, I grabbed that word and I ran with it. And in that moment of me surrendering myself and my plans, God broke that fear that was over my heart, that fear of launching myself into the unknown, not knowing what the purpose is or what God has planned. And I started to be able to hear God's voice. And once that fear was broken, 2 days later, a family member came into my life and spoke straight and said, "You're not supposed to be in Michigan. You're supposed to be in Texas right now." I looked at him square in the face and I said, "I know, I am scared." At that point, I knew my calling was in Texas. I knew where I was supposed to go. And God pulled me out 5 days later. From that moment on, I said to my parents, "I'm just supposed to go to Texas." They confirmed it. I packed up my life. I put it in the trunk of my car. 5 days later, I drove down to Texas. It took 18 hours. I drove down to Texas with my brother. And ever since I landed here, it's been confirmed over and over and over that my purpose is in Fort Worth. The connections that I've been able to make are real, are transparent, are authentic, are vulnerable, and God is launching me into my purpose.